What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. Today we're talking about Rivian. I was doing my Patreon newsletter, catching up on the Rivian news. I went on like this rant and wanted to make a video about it because I've kind of been on one and curious about Rivian, the electric vehicle pickup startup. I went in late 2018 with Sean Mitchell, Ben Sullins to their unveiling event, made this crazy vlog about it. Rihanna was there. They've been sort of touted as the biggest competition to Tesla. And I kind of agree. I think, the innovator's dilemma, Tesla's biggest competition is not really car companies, these legacy internal and, fossil fuel companies. It's really the future of the companies building this electric skateboard from the ground up with a ton of capital, with a ton of smart people, with really the right mission and product fit. So when I saw Rivian, the electric adventure vehicle, this new pickup truck, not trying to copy Tesla, but trying to do their own electric thing with this like rugged adventure vehicle niche, I was really excited, honestly, and I love the event. Like, I even got a tour, went with Sean Mitchell on a tour of the Rivian factory. Huge shout out to Rivian for that. So I feel really fortunate to have been able to follow the Rivian story. And just analyzing this as, the closest sort of pure electric vehicle play that's furthest along in the vehicle space. We've got Tesla obviously doing its thing, really succeeding. No one else has really crossed that chasm of going from the honeymoon phase of producing this amazing vehicle that everybody gets hyped about and writes articles about to actually producing it, delivering it to customers, making them happy and doing it at a profit. We've got Arcimoto crossing that chasm now, but Rivian, some reason gets like they sort of had this halo golden boy effect in the EV community. And I think a lot of what it came down to is sort of a genius move when they launched of reaching out to all of the EV bloggers and newsletters saying like, come to our event, we want to get you exclusive access. And so then they got all these YouTubers to make content about them. Genius move to get the hype off the ground. And as they started getting hype, I made a video being like, Ford should buy Rivian right now. They need to get in the electric pickup space. They can operate this as a subsidy. And then after the launch event happens and that Rivian got this initial buzz, they started raising insane amounts of capital. Like they raised a huge amount, a check from Ford. So Ford didn't buy him, but Ford wrote him a huge check. Amazon wrote him, led a $700 million round. It looks like that was, now we found out it was about $400 million that Amazon put into that. And so Rivian now up to this point has raised over $5 billion and has not produced a single vehicle. That's right. They've raised $5 billion and they literally have nothing to show for it. They're worth all of this money. And so now I'm really wondering, like, where does the rubber meet the road? Because the news that we got last week is that they finally unveiled their configurator. So they're allowing their initial adopters of that R1T, that rugged electric pickup, to start placing those pre-orders. And originally they were going to do deliveries in 2020, but then it got pushed back to 2021 because of COVID. And now they still are planning to deliver some cars in 2021, but it's only this launch edition, which they've sold out of. And then deliveries of the normal vehicles will start in 2022. So as I've been following this Rivian story, I've seen them continually like kick the can down the road and sort of delay their production vehicles, which is pretty normal for the electric vehicle industry, for those who follow Tesla. But what's interesting about that is simultaneously, while they've been like trying to get their own, electric pickup to production, they did a deal with the devil. They signed a deal with Amazon and Jeff Bezos, and they said, Jeff Bezos, we're going to take your money from you. I mean, Jeff Bezos never really strategically invests in companies unless he plans on buying them later. That's my opinion. Like, I think, and I made a ton of videos about how Amazon is just going to buy Rivian the second that it works, because they need a pure play in the EV space, and Bezos wants to compete with Elon. So I think there's a ton of sense there. But now in the corporate boardroom, if I'm a Rivian customer, this is what I asked of like Ben Sullins, one of my buddies who put out a video about ordering his R1T, like, Rivian is delaying your pickup truck so they can focus on Jeff Bezos' delivery vans. And it's pretty dope project, honestly. Like, I don't want to hate on it because I love what Amazon's doing here. I've been pounding the table for Amazon to partner with Tesla to do electric delivery. And now they're like, there's too much Elon Bezos beef. So they decided we'd rather buy crappier vans with less range with worse batteries from Rivian because we're so stubborn. But hey, I'm pumped. Go for it. And so they unveiled this really snazzy looking new delivery van. And Amazon claims they want 100,000 of these, start putting them on the road as soon as there's conflicting evidence. It looks like these have gotten delayed. Originally, they weren't delayed when they delayed the trucks, but now they are delayed till 2022 as well. But it seems like Rivian has put while they've sort of taken the gas off their core consumer vehicle program, has stepped on the gas of this Amazon program. And so that is, to me, the biggest crux of my curiosity with Rivian and what's going on here is who's running the company? Is it Amazon and Jeff Bezos? I mean, every single quarter, I'm on the Tesla conference call and they're just like pounding the table about where we can get more battery cells at a cheaper price to build more cars. That's their biggest problem. And so Rivian, before even getting a single vehicle to market, has already made all these complexities to their supply chain and battery lineup by having different vehicle programs that are launching at once. And like now you're in competition for battery resources, for vehicle engineering resources. Like it's so hard to launch one vehicle program profitably and successfully. To do so when you've never done any vehicle programs, Rivian's never sold a single car, to ramp two programs at once just seems like it's a little bit too much. And that's why when I take a step back, I'm seeing like all these delays that are happening at Rivian, and I see it's because they have no leadership. Like RJ Scaringe, they'll go out and say that they're on the side of their customers. And I'm a little bit on one because I had RJ Scaringe actually tweeted me being like, yo, I asked him to come on an interview for Hyperchange, and he was like, yes, and told me he was, and then told me he was in New York, and then like ghosted me basically. And so he's been on other YouTube channels, but never came on mine. That's fine. But I think it's because I would have asked him too many hard questions, honestly. But that's my question for Rivian and RJ Scaringe. Like, who's running the company? Is it you or Bezos? On one end, I see if I was a Rivian customer, I would be super, super frustrated that like all the people who backed them initially, that is the reason why Bezos gave them money and wanted to partner with them, is because all these initial fans supported it. And now they're like, screw those fans, we're going to build Bezos' car first. So that really, really rubs me the wrong way. But the flip side of it is Amazon is a huge opportunity. They gave them a huge amount of capital. And now there's lots of different questions about when I think about the corporate governance of Rivian. You know, what do you do from here? Do you IPO? You saw Nikola with nothing, worth 30 billion. Rivian's probably worth 15 or 20 billion in the private markets now. That's just my guess based on the fact that they did a $2.5 billion round. Like, they got to be worth a few billion at least. And so I bet Rivian is considering whether they want to IPO with a SPAC. But then you IPO with a SPAC, and is the hype just overblown now? Because then you're gonna have to show 6 quarters or 10 quarters of like massive losses before even really delivering any cars. And then the public market is gonna start hating on you. And then if your stock price starts going down, you get the downward death spiral. You can't keep raising those billions of dollars to stay afloat because your perceived solvency will start to crumble. So I think Rivian is in this really interesting situation. Like, I don't know, I'm fascinated by it because I think Tesla's success has made people way too bullish and excited on the electric vehicle space, and building cars is a really tough, shitty business. And my opinion is the 4-wheel vehicle market is going to get dominated and monopolized by one company that is a software company that can solve the self-driving vehicle problem. That's why Amazon is investing in Aurora. That's why Google is doing Waymo. These are the 2 biggest threats to Tesla, is that somebody figures out the AI portion of it. Because in my opinion, the AI, the Tesla network, is going to be driving us all around cities. We're not even going to need to buy cars. It's going to totally change the fragmentization of the automotive market, make it consolidate to one winner that has a software moat, not a product moat or like hardware moat, or brand or bullshit brand moat, like a real tech software moat that is just basically fortified by this massive billions of miles of data that no one else is getting. And so that's why I actually think Rivian, when I say they're the real competition of Tesla, it's because they're going to put 1,000 trucks on the road with a gazillion sensors. And I even made a video about their whole sensor suite when I talked to Rivian about this, and start collecting data to run it through their system to start that flywheel that Tesla started, 5 years ago and 3 billion miles ago. Rivian's going to start, and they're going to be 10 years behind, but at least they're going to start that flywheel. And so I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted, and I really want to just open this up to you and as a Hyperchange scheme test of like, on one hand, I'm like really skeptical of Rivian because I feel like they're too close to being in bed with Bezos, and that's going to totally bite them in the ass. And I think the consumers are the last thing on their mind. Bezos's delivery vans are at the forefront of their corporate strategy to appease Bezos, who's going to buy them out for 30 billion in a year. That's kind of what I see happening. It's just fascinating because on the flip side, I don't want to give up on the Rivian consumer electric adventure vehicle brand. It's almost like that's genius. It's almost like they should separate and spin these out into 2 companies. Now I'm actually having this idea now. Rivian should spin out its consumer division as an IPO SPAC, sell its Amazon delivery business to Amazon, or I don't know, that could be a really interesting sort of angle too. But I think there's a huge, huge shoe to drop here. Like something about them launching these 2 vehicle programs at once and them constantly being delayed, and Amazon lurking, wanting to compete with Tesla. Like there is just I don't know, I'm really, really fascinated. And it's exciting to see Rivian make the progress. Like I feel like I've maybe taken a little bit too much of a negative tone in this video on Rivian, but I'm really a big fan of what they're doing. Like they got $5 billion. They're building this massive new plant in Detroit to try and electrify the pickup space. Their heart's in it. Like if Rivian succeeds and sells a bunch of electric vehicles, the world's going to be a better place. So I'm totally rooting for them from that angle. But then the business analyst to me is like, what are you doing? You're selling a car with like half the range of the Cybertruck for more expensive, with less features, with no supercharging, with no autopilot. Like nobody's going to buy this product. That's why I made this video. I'm like, who bought the launch edition? Like, do you think the Cybertruck's not going to come out? Like, do you not care about supercharging? Do you not care about, it's just a really dumb financial decision to buy a Rivian product when you look at the comps versus a Tesla, especially considering that the Cybertruck is going to have the cell to structure 4680 cell, and the Rivian's still going to be using some third-party off-the-shit LG shit that's like 10 years old. I mean, you're paying more money for just a dramatically worse piece of technology when you buy the Rivian truck versus the Cybertruck. So that is another thing that's swirling in my head is the Rivian consumer business, as much as I think it should have hope, maybe RJ, and I'm having so much fun with this video because I'm having all these new ideas just scheming, but maybe RJ took the L And he was like, Elon put out the Cybertruck, we're screwed. And so we should just get in bed with Amazon, and we should like make Bezos a priority because we don't want to compete head on with better technology and Elon Musk. And that's what they realized. And so if you remember this, when Rivian came out, the Cybertruck was just an idea. It wasn't even a thing. But now the Cybertruck hasn't been delayed. The Rivian keeps getting delayed. So now it's like the Rivian was going to come out 2 years before the Cybertruck. And now it's like they're going to hit the road at the exact same time. And now you start to compare the specs, and it's exactly what happened to the Porsche Taycan. Everyone said that was going to be the Tesla killer, and then it comes out, it's double the price with half the specs. Nobody buys it. So, So on one hand, I kind of love Rivian though. Like I love the 0 to 1 of electric adventure vehicle niche, the like flashlight made out of a battery cell. Just the tank turn, like there's something really fun and that I love about the purity and adventureness of the Rivian consumer brand. And so maybe that's sort of my frustration is I feel like they had something magical there and they're letting it die by like letting Bezos sort of like leech his way into their company. And that's kind of what I see happening. And so I love to know what you think in the comments below. Did you order a Rivian? Like, what do you think is going to happen with this company? Would you buy Rivian if they IPO? What about my spin out idea? Is their autonomy strategy going to work? Like, leave it all below. I think we need to scheme on Rivian because it's just been too long since I made a video on them. So anyway, huge shout out to Rivian for like, I have like a Rivian water bottle that I love. I'm a huge fan of Rivian. I hope they keep inviting me to events. And yeah, so good luck. And anyway, this is Hyper Change. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.